This morning, the rise of sumo wrestling in America. This ancient Japanese sport is often misunderstood in the West and for a long time was strongly discouraged. But a vocal group of sumo wrestlers in California are doing their best to make it mainstream. That includes the relentless promoter of USA Sumo and a former sumo world champion.
At more than 600 pounds, Ryuchi Yamamoto is the heaviest Japanese-born sumo wrestler in history. But he says don't be fooled by his physique or the typical sumo stereotypes.
What do you think most Americans get wrong about sumo?
So Americans seem to have an image that is just two really fat guys who stand in the ring and just kind of hug each other. Actually, sumo is so intense, so even in a second, there are so many different adjustments and feints and movements, feeling your opponent, adjusting your techniques.
Sumo can be traced back to the 8th century. Full contact wrestling using a combination of brains, brawn, and even some judo. Matches are often over in moments. As a professional, Yama was a 2-time world champion who was rarely knocked down until he was knocked out. After being accused of fixing matches a decade ago, he was forced to retire from Japanese sumo. He's attempting to reinvent himself in America, predominantly getting paid to act as a sumo wrestler, including in John Wick, Chapter 2.
Grab that belt. Knees wide.
Yama also helps instruct at the Yamamoto Sumo Dojo in Torrance, California, alongside the director of USA Sumo, Andrewfreund.
You don't look like a sumo wrestler.
I'm sorry.
Freund has spent the last 25 years trying to broaden the appeal of sumo in the U.S. by competing in and organizing tournaments, including the world's largest outside Japan.
Pushes Dama to the edge. Dama stepped out.
Because as beloved as sumo is in the East, Freund says that obsession became a casualty of assimilation in the West.
I think a lot of Japanese who immigrated to the United States over the past century didn't continue the sumo tradition too much because there was a little bit of a push to become Americanized. And because probably mainstream American culture stigmatized sumo a little bit because they were just treated as big fat guys, they were a joke, which is a completely erroneous stereotype. They're not guys that are just sitting on a couch all day eating chips. They wake up at 5 a.m., they train all morning for about 5 hours in a row. Literally 5 hours of working out with no break, no food, no water.
Yama's morning routine can cost him 10 to 15 pounds of sweat, which he replenishes with a protein and nutrient-dense sumo stew called chanko nabe, part of his 10,000 calorie per day diet. But every wrestler is different.
The interesting thing for most people to learn, actually, for most Americans to understand, is that traditionally in Japan, in sumo, you didn't have to be enormous.
What's he doing? I can't do that.
So let's watch him do it first.
Regardless of size, the stretching routines are intense and give you an appreciation for the athleticism involved.
Push.
I am pushing. You push.
And then when Yama's ready, he's going to go all the way down.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. Here we go. He can literally go to sleep.
If you're willing to do the work, Freund says it doesn't matter who you are.
And then the referee will say, "Come on, please
Don't do anything, please. No.
Or how you look doing it.
He's hard to move, man.
More. Come on, Jeff, you got this.
Let's bring the 8 quarterfinalists up to the stage.
As Freund continues working to grow sumo's presence in the U.S., he says he'd love to see it become an official Olympic sport, something he feels is not out of reach.
We have people from almost every background, every ethnicity, men and women. We have kids who've been practicing from age 6 or 7 with us. We've had guys come in here like me, in their 50s or even older than that. So we've had the full gamut of Americana basically do sumo.
Men and women are part of sumo today.
Yes. And in fact, the US Sumo Open, since 2001, we have had not only the weight divisions for men, but the weight divisions for women. And that's kind of a requirement to potentially get sumo into the Olympics.
The 23rd annual US Sumo Open is happening today.
Really?
In Long Beach, California.
Fantastic.
If you're in the area. Interesting to note the top 4 countries right now, Russia, Japan, Ukraine, and Mongolia in sumo wrestling get about 80% of the medals in competition. The U.S. only has about 4 or 5 of the last 1,000 given out and only 1 gold, so they're hoping to change that.
Well, you know, you need to join the team. You were getting a little competitive there.
Well, it was the first time I did it.
A little red in the face there, Jeffrey.
I almost knocked, he almost went out of the ring when I pushed it.
Yeah, that look on your face was like, this is going to happen.